Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
No, my name is Mike P. Waworski. I come to you live from the East Coast. It's the coast with the most from the co-host with the most. Here on The Rundown, 2A views and conservative news. And Craig, guess what day it is?
Taco Tuesday!
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. Rain tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum,
With sour cream. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Love that
is
song.
Raining tacos, and I am loving it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Did you have yours? Did you? Well, no, it's only what, 2 there. Did you have your tacos yet today?
I have not had my tacos yet today. It's been a long week, but I'm hoping to get some tacos before we wrap on. We're doing a film shoot all week, so I'm hoping to get my tacos before I expire this evening and fall asleep. So I'll probably wind up falling asleep on the couch with the taco sitting on my chest, like.
Oh, we've all been there, bro. We've all been there.
Yeah, but usually I'm what's the word I'm looking for? Usually I've enjoyed a few libations before that. In this case, I'm just going to be tired.
Oh, yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, I was just hoping it's my couch when it happens. That's what
There you
you
go.
were talking about.
It's always helpful when you fall asleep on your couch.
Yeah, couch, park bench, whatever. It's all right.
All right, so how about yourself? I know it's almost dinner time there. So any special plans for Taco Tuesday?
Listen, I hit El Taco lunch stand every Tuesday. They know me and they're like Mike, and I'm like hola, and then they give me my 3 tacos and I'm ready to go. Always have them, and my little bit of horchata. They sell it also, the little the rice drink. It's amazing stuff, great stuff.
I
Love
don't know if
Number
I've
one
told you this
taco
story, but
stand
back
around
in the
town.
day when I was doing structural steel, and I remember this was before the food trucks became popular. There was this one. It was run by a Filipino guy, and you always used to go order a breakfast burrito. I always ordered the beef, bean, and cheese, and he always used to say beef, bean, and cheese.
Beef, bean, and cheese. No fries, cheap. The one I go to is in an industrial park area. It's it's by construction and stuff. So it's $2 a taco, as opposed to Tuesday nights in my neighborhood. They have food truck night, and when the taco guy's there, it's like $9 a taco for the same thing. I just can't stand it. I hate when,
it's crazy.
It's like when gut trucks become fashionable.
Well, like for example, like a lot of people don't realize that like truck stops have some of the best food, because that's where guys who drive for a living go when they want something good to eat. And guess what? Not only is it some of the best food, but it's actually pretty darn reasonable.
Yes. Well, I mean, think about it. Listen, the truck drivers, they can't just go drive these big rigs around and go find some little barbecue joint or do whatever. So they have to have the best food at the gas stations. Otherwise, we ain't coming to your gas station. That's just the way it works.
There you go. That is an excellent point, my friend. That is definitely an excellent point. And by the way, speaking of having quality products, let's talk about our sponsors.
Woohoo! I love these guys. Hitman Industries. Hitmanindustries.net. Hitmanindustries.net. If you've got yourself an AR rifle in the past 5 years, odds are pretty good you probably already have one of their barrels. But now everybody can get them, not just manufacturers. So go to hitmanindustries.net for your barrel for your new build. Then, of course, we've got the California Republican Assembly. They're stuck behind the enemy lines, doing the best they can, fighting the fight they can fight. And if you want that best tactical gear around, go to uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Look, the links to all of their websites are in the description of this program. So do us a favor. Even if you're not in the market for a barrel right now or combat gear, or maybe you don't live in California, go check them out. And I promise you'll like what you see. And if you do like what you see, which I'm pretty sure you will, go ahead and buy something. Go ahead and donate. Go ahead and become a member, whatever it is. But make sure you let them know that the guys over at The Rundown sent you.
check them out anytime you want to, all day long.
Anytime, anytime. All right, let's move into the first story of the day. We know that it's funny how since 2020, or not since 2020, since 2021, the end of 2020, how the stories on vaccinations and vaccines have so changed, right? I've been reading, I've been watching stories, and it's kind of funny because there are some people who don't get that they're speaking out of both sides of their mouth when it comes to vaccines and vaccination status. So this story actually comes out of the White House. It's put out there by Fox News. If you don't follow tennis, you don't know that there is a guy named Novak Djokovic. He is one of the, if not the best player in the world. He has been banned from traveling to the United States in order to play in major competition because he refuses to get vaccinated. Now, mind you, he's had COVID twice. So we know he has the antibodies, but he has been banned from coming to the United States or traveling to the United States. Meanwhile, at our southern border, we are seeing about 200,000 immigrants illegally crossing into our country and then being shuttled wherever the U.S. government will shuttle them to. And none of them, Mike, are required to show their vaccination status in order to enter into the country. And so you got the White House basically saying, yeah, no, they're two different things. They're not the same.
Yeah, it's just it's garbage. It's lies, Craig. We continue to see from them, the hypocrisy of their inability to make a decision when it comes to actual medical facts with COVID. It's all politics with them. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with the actual facts or science of this virus or what it is now. Craig, I was sitting last night and they said that my local county had 2,000 cases in the last week, and they tried to pump it up like we were going to die. We were all going to die. It's done, folks. We're in what variant Zulu now? Can we go on? Can we go on, Craig? The big COVID news today on the news before I sat down was the long COVID. Have you heard of long COVID yet?
Yes, I have heard of long COVID.
Long COVID is when you suffer from some of your symptoms for an extended period of time, and you're kind of, like blah, like you can't focus, and you're local doctors are jumping all over it, Craig. They're going to put you in hyperbaric chambers and give you oxygen, and you just have to come back for these treatments for 8 to 12 weeks, and that should help improve. And then they show this going on. They're sitting in the office with an oxygen mask. There's no hyperbaric chamber. It was just like you money grubby little crappers is what you are. So everybody's now we're going to start seeing the snake oil COVID cures, right? Oh yeah, come get some hyperbaric chamber treatment. You'll be fine. Don't worry that the room's not pressurized and it's not hyperbaric.
Mike, but here's the thing, because they want to distract from the obvious. The obvious is this: that over 85% of those who've actually died of COVID are over the age of 65 and have comorbidities. 78% of the people who wound up in intensive care in the hospital have been morbidly obese. And these are all things, by the way, that they have completely and utterly ignored. They want to treat everyone like everyone has the same exact risk from COVID as everybody else, and it's just not true. There are people who are going to be more susceptible to the effects of COVID, and they don't want to admit that. The other thing they don't want to admit, Mike, that make these two things different is that there's a certain degree of control and as a choke point they have for people who want to fly to the United States. That what they don't want to admit is there's absolutely no control at our southern border. None whatsoever. They are not even attempting to keep them from coming in. So if they're not even bothering to try and attempt to keep them from coming in and even doing anything to slow them down, why would they have any ability to control whether or not they have been tested for COVID or have gotten the COVID vaccine?
Yep. I see it going like this at the southern border, Craig. There's a border patrol agent there, and then you see the bad guys, these illegal immigrants jumping a fence, and the border patrol agent goes, "Hey, y'all got the vaccine?" And they yell, "See!" And they let them go, just like that. That's it.
Pretty much. That's pretty much probably the way in which it's going. And they don't want to, the White House doesn't want to admit that. And then
No.
you've got a press secretary who can't answer any questions that where the answer is not provided in her binder. It is an embarrassment of a White House, to be quite frank with you.
It is true. It is very true. And the numbers you gave for the COVID morbidity rates, Craig, if you take a look at those, almost identical to all the year's flu colds seasons we've had before this too.
So how about this, folks? If you're overweight, how about a little diet and exercise? Get that weight down. It will improve your health when it comes to everything, including your susceptibility to the effects of COVID-19. If you are older, how about this? How about you make sure that you're taking your multivitamins, that you're exercising, and you know what? You're making sure you're not engaging in high-risk activities, or at the very least, if you decide you're going to engage in high-risk activities, how about this? How about you just accept the responsibility or the chance that you might catch something that's going to hit you a little hard?
There you go. Eat a salad, for Pete's sake. Come on.
Eat a salad.
And listen, if you can't see the lettuce
salad,
below the toppings, that's not a good salad. That's not what we're talking about.
No, that
I'm
is
having a barbecue
absolutely
rib
positively
salad.
not a good salad.
No, I'm having a barbecue rib salad here. It's great stuff. Nope, doesn't count. Doesn't count.
Well, you know what's funny, Mike? Okay, so if you look at this, and this kind of leads us into our next story, and this has to do with persuadable voters. So NBC, their Meet the Press, did a poll. And first of all, the interesting thing is they're trying to find something positive about this potential election. And somehow they got to say, yeah, no, we haven't crapped the bed and we got a shot in this election. But what they're finding is that amongst quote unquote persuadable voters, those voters tend to be breaking for Joe Biden. And what I find very interesting about this, once again, in the generic poll, they're still not doing real well. In the generic poll, Republicans are still doing well. You have Republicans who are now they're lowering expectations for whether or not we're going to take over both the House and the Senate. But what I find interesting is, number one, if at this point you are a persuadable voter, you have not been paying attention. Period. You just have not been paying attention to the economy. You have not been paying attention to our southern border and immigration. You have not been paying attention to the indoctrination that has been taking place in our schools relating to critical race theory or queer gender theory or any of these various anti-American things that they are pushing. You just flat out have not been paying attention. So I don't even know if you should really be voting, but you have a right to vote. That's issue number one. Number two, when you consider the fact that the mainstream media is 100% sold out for Joe Biden, of course, if they are persuadable, when you guys are the ones doing all the persuading, you're controlling who has the ability to be persuaded in terms of voting in these midterm elections. But in the end, Mike, what it comes down to is this. It's all about their political control. They are, for lack of a better term, the fourth branch of government, and they are sold out for the Democratic Party. And they may not necessarily be in love with Joe Biden, but they're willing to push Joe Biden in order to get the policies that they want. And they know the only way they can do that is if they control both houses of Congress along with the White House.
These are the kind of stories they should be sanctioned for, Craig. This is the wag the dog, right? If we tell the lie long enough, sooner or later they'll believe it. They try to get it break one way or not. Polls, Craig. We all know about polls. In fact, I've actually done a scientific research poll on whether or not people believe these polls coming out of the mainstream media. And I have the results right here, Craig. Hold on. Let me bring them up for you. They're very official.
For those of you who are listening, the official results are F no.
No.
And he actually put F no. He did not spell it out, so we did not censor him.
I don't know. It's no.
No.
That's how it's pronounced. No.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, what? How does this story even make it? I mean, it's so fake. It's such a lie. It's such disinformation that they're trying to give to us to make you believe. Oh, well, I guess if persuadable voters are doing this, then I should vote that way too. You know what? This is folks. This is no different than on election day, them putting things out saying, "Oh, we're calling it for so and so as of right now." Oh, well, I guess I don't need to go vote for my candidate then. That's what they're doing. They're attempting to change your vote and persuade you. They're trying to persuade your vote by giving you a story about persuaded votes. It's comical in such a way if it wasn't so insulting and outright, completely out of bounds.
Oh, but Mike, see, here's what they're doing, and here's the example. And this was further down in the story. So what they're doing is they're realizing that they are losing on the issues of the day. So now they're grasping onto social issues like abortion. They are because in the same poll, in the same exact story, you've got the folks over at Meet the Press pushing the idea that, well, now that Roe v. Wade's been turned over, the left is energized about the idea of abortion. And it's, once again, all of their commercials that are about abortion are because they realize the economy sucks. They can't do nothing on that. They realize crime is going through the roof. They can't do nothing about that. That's their thing. They realize that social indoctrination is taking place in schools. They can't do anything about that. Oh, let me clarify. They can do something about it, but that would require admitting that the policies that are causing it are theirs. And the only thing that they can do to fix it is to stop doing that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it the White House said today? I'm sorry, there's no longer going to be any free COVID tests because they cost too much money and Congress can't allocate the money and there's not enough money. But the economy's great. No inflation, but we're out of money.
I saw a story also where they were talking about economists are split on the effect of student loan debt cancellation and its effect on inflation. Now,
economists are not split.
No,
you're right. We know the deal. Go ahead.
No, economists. Here's how they're split. They are split in that some believe that it will have absolutely no effect on inflation. Only a few of them believe that, and some believe it's going to increase inflation. Nobody believes that it will reduce inflation. Absolutely, positively, nobody.
Yeah, economists believe it's going to be a drain on the economy, cause things to slow down, $2,100 average per person. And then the Democrats believe it's going to be just fine because that's what they want.
There
you
you
to
go.
do.
And
they want
that's
you to take
what
their free money.
What they're also not telling you is that you're basically going to have fast food workers, plumbers, and other construction workers, taxi drivers. Yeah, they're going to wind up paying for the student loans of people who are becoming doctors, lawyers, and engineers.
Yep, exactly. I mean, folks, this is simple math. Take a bowl of pennies, all right, and there's only so many in there, all right, and if you start replacing some with others or pulling from out, you got to replace them from somewhere. It's so simple, the math on this. If they're not paying for them and the government's sending them money to repay these items, guess where they get it from? Guess where the government money comes from? From you. Through taxes.
Yep.
The money comes from you. The government's
not
not self-funded.
This is not student debt forgiveness. Yep. It's student debt transference from the people who owe it to the taxpayers.
Yep.
Nobody doubt it.
Yeah.
Now, we talked a little bit about indoctrination. Well, there's a school district in Illinois, Mike, that is at the center of a controversy. And this largely has to do with defining gender. And this school district has in essence, put in place, Mike, requirements that a new education about gender and the idea that gender is this social construct that is not physical and that it is not determined by your physical genitalia, but it's actually figured based on social construction, that you can decide what gender you are going to be taught. Now, mind you, this is not something, Mike, this is something that is still very hotly debated. This is not a given. This is not something that people are absolutely this is the scientific fact. There's no scientific fact or data that is conclusive in supporting this direction. Yet, this is now going to be the curriculum and what is going to be taught as a standard, Mike, for students in public schools as young as 11 years old.
You know, what's your feelings, Craig? You're a school board member. Let me ask you this on sex education in schools and when or if it should be taught.
You know what? I fall under the guise of if parents give permission for their kids to sit in the class and learn it, then yes. I believe the primary responsibility for educating our children, in particular on all things, but in particular on moral values and their belief on things like this, that rests with the parents. And we ought not be subverting those rights, not subverting those values when it comes to parents. So if a parent decides this is what they want their kids to learn, then fine. But if not, they ought to have the ability to opt out, or even more important, as they ought to have the opportunity to say, no, I don't want this stuff taught in my schools.
Yeah. Listen, kind of the same thing. I think that actually, probably today's age, I think most parents would rather have it taught at the school than have to have the old birds and bees talk at home. I think that's embarrassing for a lot of parents. Not me. I mean, come on, baby, let's do it. We had the conversation with our children, and by we I mean my wife, and I just stood there looking uncomfortable. So I get the point of letting the school handle it if it's within the guidelines, right? If it's within approved parameters. It's I don't want this starting out with once upon a time there was a 6-year-old transphobic boy or girl. That's not how the sex ed talk should go. It should be medical, and then that should be approved by the school board ahead of time. And then I have no qualms, Craig. I think you're right on the money there with the opt-in, opt-out. Did you see, kind of on a sidebar, did you see Ohio this week? Indiana approved corporal punishment back in the schools in a couple of the school districts there? Okay.
I did see that. And how I feel in corporal punishment is this. Back in our day, it's like you had to sign, like if it was okay to spank your child, they had to sign a note. Now, mind you, my parents never signed the note approving me to be spanked, but they did for my brother. But, for some people, for some kids, having that as an option is necessary. You don't always need to do it. It should never be the first resort, but it ought to be an option. But ultimately, what it comes down to is as a parent, you are the primary educator of your children. You're the one primarily responsible. Therefore, number one, how about you spend a little more time knowing and understanding what's being taught in your child's classroom? Number one.
There you go.
And then number two, you should have a say. And now, if the school board or the school district or the principal, if they're not listening to you when it comes to that, then it is time to replace them. And you replace them because guess what? We have elections every 2 years. At least around half your school board is up for re-election. You vote them out if you don't like what you're hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sidebar, I think there was something like it was over 90% of the parents already pre-signed and approved and said okay. But hopefully you won't have to do that. But like you said, it's not for, oh, I'm sorry, Johnny, you got the math test wrong, you got to get spanked. It's discipline problems, is what they're doing it for. But no, agree. More parent involvement, whether it be the discipline issue or whether it be what's being taught sex education. More parent involvement is what you need in schools.
Please, please, please take the time, because as I've said before, I've been on the school board now 18 years, right? And what I found is this: parents only show up to the school board meeting when their child is being honored, or someone at the school district is messed up. That's not the only time when you should be paying attention to what's going on the school board. These are the people who are setting policy and that is going to impact your child going into the future. You're partnering
and I'm not
with them
saying
on the education of your children, so you need to be showing up and paying attention.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you got to be the president of the PTA. You got to show up to every school board meeting and do that. But you know what? Take a look at your child's curriculum for the classes they just got. How about you read through that? Take a look at that. Breeze through the book that they have too. You just take a quick do the simple little things to make sure the book's not one of those. If 10 crack dealers sell to 6 crack dealers, that kind of thing. Make sure it's legit and it's real, and they're getting good. They're getting at least the appearance of a good education.
How about this? How about you at least invest enough time in that as you do? Oh, I don't know, fantasy football.
Oh yeah. I mean,
or
listen,
Real Housewives. How about you?
I think
a lot of people invest a lot of time in stuff like that.
Yeah. Anybody that spends any time on fantasy football is they're just pretending themselves, right?
Well, it depends on if they're winning or not.
True. Very true.
Oh, talking about winning, let's talk elections. Now, an interesting thing happened on the way to the election. Mike,
it is a little typo. I saw
there were ballots that were out there in 2020 that actually just showed up in Baltimore at a facility in 2022.
But Craig, how can that be so? We know there's no election fraud, and all of the electors have the election supervisors have confirmed that all ballots and everything were accounted for. How could that be? It's already been confirmed that this didn't happen, Craig. And now they show up on their doorstep 2 years later. Hey, somebody's got some splaining to do.
Somebody definitely has some splaining to do. I mean, dude, that's what's such a trip about all this is you've got these people who are saying there was absolutely positively nothing wrong with the election. But don't pay attention to those 2020 ballots that just showed up in people's mailboxes in 2022. That didn't happen. Don't pay attention to this election official who changed the rules on the election instead of putting it through the legislative process like they were supposed to do. Don't pay attention to the fact that these number of ballots don't line up with the number of people who are rich. I mean, once again, I get where people can say, look, did election fraud happen? Didn't it happen? I get where you can say, well, maybe enough didn't happen to affect the election. Once again, I can get that. What I can't get is people who are saying that there was absolutely nothing wrong with the last election, that there were no problems, no issues. That's just not true.
Yep. And here you are, piles of absentee ballots, and they're going to stand right behind it and go, oh, these are absentees. It didn't affect the election. What? You that's not what you said before when we asked you about this. Before you said this wasn't an issue. I get it. You're lying again. I got it. You don't care. They don't care because they got their guy in. They pulled their shenanigans, and they're going to continue to lie. It's one thing the Democrat does well, Craig. It's one thing the Democrat does often. How about that? Is lie.
Yes, they are not really necessarily interested in the truth there. But this is also the reason why we need to do a more effective job of communicating and selling our values. Because here's the deal. If it's not close, they can't cheat. And the problem is we just assume that because what we're saying makes sense to us, that other people are going to get it. But we have to understand that many of these people have been fed lies through media, lies through academia. And so they don't have a lot of the very basic information that we have. So treating them like the enemy is not the best idea, at least in terms of some of the voters. Treating them like, okay, I need to give you more information so that you understand the truth. Some of them then are people who we can convince over to our side.
Yeah, we give it a shot. We'll see how it works.
Speaking of giving it a shot, we're now at the point of our parting shot. This is a tweet that's actually more than a few years old. It actually was from 2018, but nonetheless, especially in the discussion of both inflation and student loan debt, it is highly appropriate today. This is Cabot Phillips, and he's tweeting, a college degree costs 297% more than it did in 1979. A Happy Meal costs 40% less. One of these industries is subsidized by the government. The other isn't. Now, Mike, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to see if you can guess which of these two industries are subsidized by the government. Is it fast food, or is it the educational industrial complex?
You know, Craig, and I appreciate that opportunity. I bet you the cost of the Happy Meal has probably gone up a little bit now since the Democrat-controlled minimum increase in minimum wage, or increase in the minimum wage. So it may not be 40%, but it's still a huge, ridiculous difference, right?
Oh yeah.
From those that are private business with little bit of government interference, as opposed to big government interference.
Right. And understand, we subsidize higher education in three ways. One is for public university systems, it's direct. We give money directly to universities, university systems, as well as state university systems and community college systems. We subsidize them in terms of now student loans. A lot of student loan providers, a lot of it's either done by the government or it's backed and supported and guaranteed by the government. And then there's the grants, the government grants that are made available to students. So these schools are highly subsidized. And what we've noticed in higher education is, the number of students per class has gone up dramatically, but the number of administrators, that's where where there's been an explosion, right? In terms of the cost of higher education. All these darn deans and vice deans and directors of diversity and all of that has exploded and it dramatically increased the cost of higher education. Whereas when it comes to Happy Meals, I think you made the point in fast food, it's largely been the increase in the minimum wage that that has caused the increase in that industry.
Yep, that's it. And otherwise, listen, you could still get a hamburger for $2 because they're competing for your business. That's what they do. But when the government comes in and tells them, no, you got to pay your unskilled labor force $15 an hour, well, now your hamburger price is going to go up. But still cheaper than a college education.
Well, it goes with them trying to control the narrative. It's like you do something and then you are surprised or you act surprised when it actually results in the thing that you said before. And that gets us to our next parting shot. Where you have this movie, and I think this is supposed to be the new Charlie's Angels that came out a little while back. But you have these three women standing there looking like they're about to fight, and it says, "Straight white males, this movie is not for you." And then several months later, after the movie comes out, you have the same exact image, the same exact publication saying, "Why are straight white males refusing to see this movie?"
Yep. Right. It's more of it. It's because you're racist. That's why, Craig. We've seen this happen with the Thor movie recently, right? And the Disney's Lightyear movie, because they all had wokeness in it and went down the toilet. And it was the same issue before that. It's like, this is not for your regular average folks. And then at the end, it was like, well, white people aren't coming to see it, or white men aren't coming to see it. Guess what? I choose not to see that garbage. That's my choice, and you're gonna have to deal with it. And if you try and blame me for it,
sometimes they just put
ignorant you
together
are.
garbage. Like I still remember the whole controversy over Captain Marvel. First of all, you had the actress who was playing Captain Marvel, who was like, "Oh well, these are just a bunch of sexist people who don't want to see a woman in a position of power." Now, mind you, this is the same audience that loved the first Wonder Woman movie, right?
Yes,
we're talking broke records in the first Wonder Woman. The
great.
Same women in the Marvel universe who love Black Widow, right?
Yes.
Once again, same audience. They didn't want to accept the fact that maybe that woman just sucked as Captain Marvel, which, in my opinion, she did.
Wait, which one? The one that was in
the woman who played Captain Marvel in the Marvel Universe movie. She was also in like Infinity Stone and the other ones. But
I thought she did a good job. I thought the movie sucked. That's the problem, though. Like you're talking about. The first Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot was a great movie. Then Wonder Woman 84 came out, and you're like, "This is the biggest piece of crap I've seen in 5 years."
It was horrible. I was so mad because it was like
Yeah.
I was because that was like during COVID. It was like there weren't new movies coming out. Okay,
Right.
this one's going to be good. We're going to be able to sit down and enjoy it. And I try
Yeah.
never to get overly excited about movies because you always wind up disappointed. And this was so disappointing.
Yeah.
It was
Yes,
like
it was.
what were you people thinking when you made this movie?
Yeah, I know what they were thinking. Direct to video. That's what they were thinking.
Well, that's exactly what it wound up being.
Yep.
Direct to video. All right, Mike. Well, hey, it's about that time for us to give a shout out to our folks once again.
Yep, hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. Get all of your barrel desires there for your own personal builds. The California Republican Assembly, working at the hard fight there in California. And then, of course, for whatever combat gear, web gear, tactical gear you may need, uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Once again, descriptions in the link to the links in the description to this video or audio program, however you're paying attention or however you're participating in the program. Please make sure to check them out. Remember to tell them the guys over at the Rundown sent you. And we're going to call it now a day. So that's going to be it for Taco Tuesday. We're going to go and be about our lives until tomorrow, which is Hump Day.
Hump Day.
We'll
Hey,
see
y'all
you
got
then.
that vaccine?